Welcome to another Triathlon podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is another Triathlon podcast. Enjoy the ride.
We're back with another Triathlon podcast brought to you by Mana Apparel. Today we've got some fun stuff. We are going to catch up on what myself and Josh have been up to the last little while. Unfortunately, Fede wasn't quite able to make it for this one. But then we are going to jump into an interview with Alice Alberts as we talk about her season, what she's got going on, and the Ironman Pro Series. But first, we'll do a little catch up because it's been a little while. Unfortunately, I wasn't around last week. We will start with Josh. How have you been doing? Catch us up. What's been going on with you?
It's been a little bit. So lots gone on since the last time we all spoke, other than doing some interviews. That was an awesome interview with Race Ranger last week. Really informative.
Yeah.
So really cool to hear more about where they've come from and where they're going, and really excited for that. In my own training, I was able to hop down to Virginia Beach and do that half marathon, and kind of executed the race plan exactly how I hoped to. Did the 8K shakeout the day before during that race, and did a little strides and some sprints, and kind of went through my protocol there, and felt really ready to go race morning, and hopped in with the 135 pace group, which is like the top pace group at that race. So not too crazy. And that's exactly what I ran last year. So I was like, let's see how I feel, and got to the 5K mark and felt great, and started hopping in front, and never looked back and never saw them again, and stayed in front of my nutrition, and it was humid too. It was like 87% humidity. So,
oh wow. Yeah.
There we go again with my, me running races in high humidity, but it was cool. It was probably about 55 degrees. So
that's like perfect temperature wise.
Yeah, perfect temperature wise, a little windy, but most of the course is protected from the wind as you go through the forest and into a military base. But just really fun. I found another person that I felt was running at a good enough pace that I could click on heels with, and we kind of shared some front and back and shading the winds, and just kept going. I think I got to like mile 9 or 10 and started to feel it. And then I saw my coach from Peloton, Marcel, who was the chief hype person for the weekend, and she caught me at mile 10 and gave me a good cheer. And I was like,
nice.
I only got another 5K to go, and that's it. And I got a PR. There. I knew I was way ahead of the pace group. My laps were all around the 7-minute spot, and I was looking to run 7:05s. Ended up coming in at 7:07 average for the day, and got a PR by 90 seconds from last year. So
congratulations. That's huge. That is a lot of time to take out of a half marathon in a year.
Very, very happy with that. And it was definitely coming out of the training I had been doing, right? I've been doing a lot of running at 10:30 paces, and more recently just started picking up some intensity. So that testing in Arizona, the balancing of my physio and everything that we wanted to do paid off, and it really worked. I mean, I can't remember the last time I ran 7 minutes for longer than 10 minutes. I mean, let alone an hour and a half. So it was really cool, and a huge confidence booster going into the run, if I can get there from the swim bike at Oceanside. And have
you will.
And I will. And all the swim work that I've been doing. I mean, I looked back to last year going in Oceanside. I didn't swim enough, and I knew that. And I've swam probably 5 times as much going into this race. And yesterday I got in the pool, and I was like, you know what? I need to put my wetsuit on and swim with the wetsuit and get used to doing that again. And I got in the pool, and I was like, whoa, this is what it feels like to actually know what you're doing and have a wetsuit on. And I was like, so And I went out in my easy warm-ups. I do like a 200 easy warm-up to start most sessions. And I kind of use that as a calibrator to see where I'm at early on. And then I'll look at paces later in the day too. But that earlier one is kept dropping and dropping. And I dropped like 10, 15 seconds per 100 on my first 200 yesterday. And I was like, with no effort. And I was like, okay, I could swim at this pace or a little lower out. And now add salt water. So I was like, okay,
You're going to be floating on top of the water with an accommodation.
This is good. This is good. Maybe floating on top of breaking waves. We'll see which way we go on Oceanside this year.
Little wave surfing in, you'll be good.
So it felt great. And I got my new bike on the trainer for the first time. So for my 3.5 hour session this weekend, and that was at race pace. And I literally held, for me, we're looking at 200 watts, and I held 200 watts for 3.5 hours.
Amazing.
So that felt really good. Hit the nutrition. I was taking about 120, 130 grams of carbs an hour, and did a 40-minute run off of that. So it was a huge weekend in terms of confidence building, coming off the race and all of that. So
that excited. Is wicked. You are so primed and ready to go. It's going to be so fun to watch. I'm just bummed I'm not going to be able to cheer you on in person, but you're going to crush Oceanside. You are so ready to go.
Very excited for it. I'm still not podium or doing anything like that, but my thing is get better and keep getting better.
Yeah. Well, your trajectory has just been incredible from last year to this year. Everything is new PRs, and it just speaks to the time you've been putting in. Kind of something we talked about with Alice is just that consistency makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I'm just not going to win my first race like she does.
No? Fair enough. Oh, that's awesome.
So how's it going with you up in Canada with the weather and whatever? I mean, it's what an off season you're having.
It's been random. I've been doing a little bit more in front of the camera than training the last week or so, and it's fun to do something different, but still that A-type athlete in the back of my head, I'm like, that was a lot of missed training over the last little while, but years of consistency have kind of told me, okay, it's not the end of the world if I take some downtime or do some other things, and my goal race is until August. So trying to balance it out, do that well most of the time, but sometimes it's kind of like, that was a lot of training. No, it's been fun. Did a photo shoot, a modeling job for a sleepwear company, but then the weird one was I did an acting job, a commercial for a cheese kind of company and products. And you know what? Instead of biking for 5 hours, I was having a bunch of people stand around a camera and direct me how to eat grilled cheese and cheese cubes and
getting your protein.
Yeah. So, slightly different than the usual day to day. No, it's a lot of fun. You know what? I think the thing that has kept me in the sport so long, when usually I'd kind of go hard at things and burn out, is just learning that you do need a little bit more of that balance between work and the coaching and all this other stuff. You can't go 100,000% in triathlon unless you are a professional and have the time to do all of that. There's definitely a lot of give and take and balancing. So it's much more fun to have a variety of things on the go. And over the years, I've finally got my A-type head mentality to be like, hey, chill, you're all right.
I think that balance is huge for anyone, especially in the age group world as well. For a lot of us, I mean, we're balancing full-time jobs, but then also finding other ways in sport or other ways to challenge yourself just to kind of keep it fresh too. And that's why I love the running aspect of it. And like, I've even started to think like that duathlon aspect of it too, and just kind of go real. And you've inspired me there. And you start to see your run come along, and it's like, okay, what could I do with a run, bike, run type of thing, and take that swim equation out. But we'll see. And some of the other opportunities that have come about too with other brands and collaborations and things like that. It's just kind of really cool to see some of that come to fruition as well.
It's fun. And it sounds like you're going to be pretty busy Oceanside week with a lot of that stuff too. just kind of getting together. We're going to have a big showing of the Mana crew, kind of all having a little shakeout run together, just getting some time to cheer each other on pre-race. And then it's always fun seeing those familiar kits running around the course.
It will, although mine will be a little different than the other Mana's crew.
Yeah, you got your custom suit.
My custom suit, and I just got the picture of my finished helmet, which is now in the mail back to me too.
Wicked.
So I've got my Mana / Athletic Brewing Rudy Wing helmet ready to go, and my Mana Athletic Brewing custom kit and lever movement. So it's been a really cool process of putting that whole thing together, and the whole design process with Mana apparel and getting the custom suit together was so easy. And even little tweaks here and there, just make some suggestions and make some changes, and that was done really quickly and right back to me. So excited for that. Excited to jump in the water with all the DeBoer wetsuits that everyone's going to throw on. So there's a lot of pieces that need to still come together, and hopefully they all come together on time. But it's going to be really cool to be in Oceanside, in a place I'm familiar with, to race again. So having that aspect of it handled and not really have to worry about recon and things like that is going to make it a little bit more enjoyable. And having my wife there racing this time too. So I won't have to worry about her being nervous waiting for me to come off the bike course. She's going to be out on the run course most likely as I start the run because the relay starts right after the pros. So she'll have her swimmer and her biker finish most likely before I finish my bike. And so at some point we're hoping we'll pass each other on the run course, which would be really, really cool.
That'll be a fun boost.
Yeah. She's already talking because she hasn't run without music or headphones in a race.
Yeah.
So she's been training on that and she's been working on that. And even when she did the half marathon that we did in Virginia Beach, she's like, I didn't really listen to the music. I had it on, but it was just there. So she's starting to incorporate a lot of the no music transition. That was that 3.5 hour ride I did this weekend was no music, no entertainment.
Oh.
I had Zwift on in my periphery. I've gotten so used to it. It's like I just get in the zone. It's like I look up at Zwift just to see if I'm holding 200 watts and making sure my heart rate's not crazy. And man, my heart rate was so low on that ride too, which was really, really confidence building too, knowing that I could push it when I need to. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of no entertainment.
That is some mental toughness. Honestly, something that I could not or would not ever do. The only time I train without entertainment, or the only time I move without entertainment is during a race. So kudos to you for getting that time in and making sure you have that dialed in. It's definitely easier race day with everything going on, the nutrition, people around you. But yeah, I can imagine doing that long in the pain cave with no entertainment. You are an absolute beast.
I just feel like when it comes to race day, it's almost like a reward, right? We train all the time, and then we talk about race day being a reward. So I feel like I get to ride around and enjoy the scenery, and that's my reward for all of the crap that I put myself through. And I don't get outside to ride enough. So if I'm gonna train inside and not have the extra bike handling skills and things like that, I need to make sure I'm focused come race day, and I think that's just another way to get there.
That's awesome. Oh, speaking of riding outside, I actually got to sneak in a ride outside between dumps of snow.
I saw that. That's crazy. It's like, how did you do that?
We get these random, we call them Chinooks, where sometimes we'll just get this warm weather pattern, but it just like teases you. So it got up to like 60 degrees randomly for like 3 days. And then we got like 3 feet of snow and it's back to minus 15. So I was happy I was able to sneak out for a bit and get some outdoor riding. And just sometimes you need that refresher of remembering why you love this so much, which it's definitely a lot easier when you're outside playing in the mountains and feeling that rush of air as you're going downhill. So that was a nice change of pace for sure.
I'm hoping to get outside this week at some point, just to get on the bike, get out and get a good ride in. And hopefully we don't have like our third or fourth winter, as we call it here in New England. And you get the fake spring like you just had, and everyone wants to be outside. And it's nobody's at work. Everyone's outside running. And it's crazy to me how many people still go out and run. And it's like blustery. Like Alice will say later in the interview, it's been so windy here too. And it's like, kudos to those people. Like, you might give me kudos for the pain cave stuff. Like, I'm one that's like, kudos to the people that get outside when it doesn't matter whatever weather it is. And I think that's
Get it done.
crazy too.
Well, we definitely have lots of things going on here, and we're looking forward to Oceanside, which is coming up fast. But we've got an awesome interview with Alice Alberts. We've referred to it a couple times here. Stay tuned, and we're going to listen to her very cool journey from age grouper just starting out just a few years ago to winning Ironman. So stay tuned and give that a listen. We are back with another triathlon podcast brought to you by Mana Apparel. And today we've got an awesome interview, someone who's kind of exploded on the scene and who not too long ago had a full-time job and was training with the full-time job, trying to fit it all in like most of us listening to this podcast. We've got Alice Alberts on the podcast today, and we're going to go through how she got started in triathlon, learn a little bit about her training, and what the season ahead looks like. But first off, welcome to the podcast. We're happy to have you on.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And as always, joined by my co-host, Josh. How are you doing, Josh?
Doing great. I'm really excited to have my fellow Bostonian on the podcast and showing how strong us Northeasters are, even though we don't get out to ride as much as the rest of you do. But Alice does, that's for sure.
I don't know.
There you go.
This winter, I have to say I haven't made it outside a lot. And now it's been so windy, not to talk about the weather, that's the thing that's been holding me off from going outside. Not even the cold, it's just the annoying wind.
Yeah, especially with how much training you have to do in there, it's not a bad thing to take advantage of some of the indoor training just to not have to deal with the cold, the wind, and sometimes the risk with that too. We get crazy spring winds in Alberta here, and it's just a little sketchy outside.
Yeah. Get sketchy for sure. So trainer it is.
There we go. Well, let's jump into learning a little bit more about you. I know some of our audience will already know you, but some won't. So why don't you give us kind of an overview? What got you started in triathlon? It was pretty recently.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll start from the beginning. I was a really active kid. I have two older brothers, really active parents, and just have always loved sport. I played lacrosse in college, and then when I graduated college, I went straight into nursing school to become a nurse practitioner, and was just really, really stressed. So I started running a ton. And then my friends convinced me to do a marathon because I was running so much, and did a marathon and was instantly hooked on running and just, I would say, endurance sports, right? I loved the aspect of being out there by yourself for hours and the mental strength that goes along with the physical strength of endurance. And I think I did something like 7 marathons before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, before COVID hit. And then during COVID, my husband and I started biking together, and we just really loved it. We were having a blast. And actually, he's the one who said, I've always wanted to do an Ironman. And I was like, that's awesome. Let's do it. So we signed up together and we raced our first Ironman together in June 2021. And I won the overall amateur field there, my first Ironman. And
not a bad first one.
Yeah. And I have to say, I was just kind of instantly hooked. I adored the training too, which I think is a huge part of it. Obviously, the racing is really fun, but I also just love the training. So I knew I was hooked from then on. So yeah, it wasn't all that long ago, but it's been a wild ride since.
So you hopped into your first triathlon, was Ironman Texas, or had you done some sprint tries or anything else?
So in 2016, I did a sprint with my brother when I was in grad school, but he convinced me to do it. I didn't own a bike. I rode my mom's bike. I didn't own anything. I was wearing sneakers on the bike, that sort of deal. And so you can count that, I guess. That was in 2016. But then besides that, my first was this Ironman Coeur d'Alene, June 2021. And then I did do Ironman Texas, October of 2021. Shortly after Coeur d'Alene. Yeah.
Love it. Just jump right in and go for it.
Well, I actually had signed up for a non-Ironman branded half Ironman pre-COVID. And I was supposed to do it before all that, but then I'd like signed up with a few friends and it got canceled because of COVID. And actually the funny story about that race is that my husband and I met at a run club and he actually got my phone number by asking about the information about that half Ironman. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And he was like, oh, give me your number so you can send me the info on the half Ironman. I want to do it too. I think he had no interest in doing it. But anyway, a nice meet cute.
There we go. That is a fun story. That's awesome. So obviously you saw some early success. What was there a point where you decided, okay, I could really make a go at this. I want to stop my nursing and actually go all in as a professional athlete. What did that look like? When did you make that decision?
Yeah, I can't even say that there was a specific time really. I think in the beginning, so I qualified for my pro card in that first race, but then I was like, wow, that could have totally been a fluke. Let's, back that up. So I went and did Ironman Texas and kind of convinced myself, I guess. I needed the convincing that I could potentially compete in the pro field. And then it was in the back of my head. I knew I would turn pro because I just wanted that extra challenge, but I never really thought about leaving my job in those early days. We'd kind of like joke about it. To me, it was almost like a joke because it seemed so like such a risk. And I had worked so hard to become a nurse practitioner and all that years of schooling and years of work. And it was a lot of my identity was being a nurse practitioner. So honestly, it started kind of like throwing it out there, being like, this could be fun. Maybe I'll do it. Like, no way, I would never do it. And then the more and more we talked about it, it was like, okay, I could actually
maybe
take this risk and do this. And I don't know, I'd bring it up to friends. And I had a lot of people saying, when you are 70 and you look back on your life, do you want to look back and say like you didn't take that chance? Or do you want to look back and say like I took this chance on myself and it was a risk, but I went for it regardless of, the outcome. I didn't know what kind of pro career I would have, but regardless, I think I was excited about the decision in the end. It was definitely scary.
Yeah.
What did your training look like before that first Ironman in Coeur d'Alene and then going into Texas that year? Like you said, even so, you were a lot of marathon running and you've done the run, but we all know that your swim story, right? That's just like from nothing to where you are. But what about the bike? Like how much time were you putting on the bike before you went and won Coeur d'Alene?
Yeah, so I don't know specifics on numbers there, but I will say, and I'm going to make a reel about this, but I did look back at my training hours going into Coeur d'Alene because I was actually really curious. Right now as a pro, I kind of average around 24 hours a week. And I went back and looked. So we signed up in late 2020 and I started with my coach, Natasha van der Merwe, January of 2021. So January, February, and March, I was training 14 hours a week, which is a lot, but it's not like that crazy for an Ironman. And then April and May, I was training 16 hours a week. And then the first week of June, I think I trained something like 17. And like my peak week in there was an 18-hour week. Now, I don't know how much of that was bike. I would assume like over a third, obviously, because you do so much more mileage and time on the bike. But I do recall I was biking a hard bike ride on Tuesday mornings before work. I would do an easy bike ride on Thursday afternoons after work. And then I would do like big volume on weekends. So whatever that would add up to. But the bike kind of, I don't want to say came naturally. I grew up biking in New Hampshire. My dad likes to bike. My brothers like to bike, but it was always super casual. I never thought I was a good biker. I was just trying to, keep up with my brothers and my dad. So then when we got more serious, I at least had the background of, climbing.
Yeah, all that aerobic conditioning too.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just adore biking even still, going out there for hours and hours and hours. I find it very meditative. I don't know if that's the word.
Oh, totally get you there. That's exactly the bike is my favorite part of it. Just disappearing for hours in the mountains, just turn your head off and turn
Yeah.
over the pedals. It's definitely the best part.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So, last year, you definitely had a bit of a breakthrough season with two Ironman wins. Not too shabby for a full season out there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those races? How are you feeling going in? Did you know that you were primed to go win a couple Ironmans?
Oh gosh. I mean, one can dream. I think that, you always hope that there's that chance, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I wasn't completely shocked when Lake Placid, the first one happened, and then even more shocked when Maryland happened. So yeah, I guess I'll start that by saying my first pro race was 2 years ago, so 2022, and it was Lake Placid. And I had a horrible race. I like totally blew up. I had a horrible run. I was walking at
Oh
times.
no.
Yeah, and I was like questioning my decision, turning pro and leaving my job. And I think that then when Lake Placid came around in 2023, I knew I was fitter. I knew I believed in myself that much more, but I also knew that like no matter what happened in that race, that my life was going to go on and everything was going to be fine. So I kind of went into that race being like, screw it. Let's go. Like, let's do what the day. I know I'm fit. I know I can handle these hills. And just like stay within myself and run my own race and kind of see what happens with it. And then when I won it, if you watch like the video of me in the last 100 meters, I'm like still sprinting. I'm like not smiling. I'm like not acknowledging that this happened because I am in complete shock. And then like finally when I touched the tape, I was like, oh my gosh, it happened. And I let it again. But it even took a few like hours after the race to kind of like pinch myself there. And then I think that going into Maryland, I felt maybe a little pressure too, because I just had this great race. But again, I just kind of told myself, who cares, I guess, like show up and do what you can on the day. And I had a little bit more confidence and belief in myself from Lake Placid, knowing that that could be good enough. So yeah, that finish line I did. I want to say like celebrate. In reality, I think I like cried the last 100 meters. I like, smiled, but
A lot of emotions.
yeah. So, I mean, I'm still in a little bit of disbelief looking back at the last year, but I kind of love that I went into it, just being like, whatever happens, happens. And if it goes well, that's great. And if it goes poorly, life goes on. And I still have incredible people in my corner and a great support system. So I think that that's what motivates me anyway. So I'll do it again, hopefully this year, going in thinking what happens, happens.
So besides and you talk about obviously in a year you got more fit, you were more familiar with the course from Lake Placid from the year before, but I think I've heard you mention in other interviews that nutrition was a huge part to the first year and into the second year. And we're big geeks and we talk about the importance of that fourth aspect of triathlon and nutrition being such a huge part, especially in the full distance Ironman. So what did you learn over that year? What do you think you did wrong? Was it you just forgot or did you actually make a big change in what you wanted to have on the bike, especially?
Yeah, so this one's actually relatively easy to answer in that because Lake Placid was my first pro race, back in 2022, I was trying to skip personal needs and just keep going. And so I had a plan of grabbing Gatorade in the second half of the bike, but I didn't practice with the orange Gatorade. And it turns out, one, I hate the taste, so I didn't want to drink it.
Yeah.
Two, it upset my stomach a little bit. So I skipped it and just didn't have enough carbs. And I was so focused on trying to like get a fast bike split that I wasn't thinking about how much I needed to take in order to then support my run. So then honestly, when I went into Lake Placid in 2023, my major goal was not a certain wattage. It was not like a certain time. It was hit this number of carbs per hour. That is all I cared about. And I think I ended up doing 100 grams of carbs per hour for your listeners. And I actually did do bike special needs for that race just to make sure I really could get enough carbs. Now the caveat here is that I then also took bike special needs in Maryland, but it didn't affect that race, obviously, but it did mean that I was losing the group with the packs that were forming there. And so I had to work extra hard. And so then now I'm trying to figure out a way to not stop at bike special needs moving forward. So it's like a constant, even for professionals. That's why they call it the fourth discipline. You're like constantly trying to train it and figure it out with nutrition and figure out what works for you. And each race is going to be different because flatter races, you don't really want to do bike special needs because the packs do form, whereas hillier races, I guess you don't really want to do it, but the packs don't form as much. So it's not as big a deal. So yeah, long way of answering that question. And not to 180 the conversation, but I did recently learn that Gatorade Endurance is not going to be on the course for so yeah.
They're switching it up again.
Yeah, they're just switching it up on us. And the one that is going to be there for the run, at least, it's only 10 grams of carbs. So like people need to be really aware of that if they get on Gatorade for their carbs during the marathon. So yeah, a lot of game planning going on this end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too, on the bike, like the special needs become important, and like you said, in certain races. But you can only carry so much too. So like, if you're not a mortal fan, or you can't hold it down, or it's orange Gatorade, or whatever, that's a big difference on what you have to try and carry on your bike too, and not launch and get penalties. And
100%, yeah. And then the launching thing is a thing. So I'm working on figuring out concentrated bottles so I can hopefully carry enough in addition to the gels I take. But you're so right. If things launch off, that can be an issue. So, I mean, you get your A plan, and then unfortunately you also have to have a B plan. So like I'm a coach as well, and I'm always telling my athletes to make sure they know at least what's on course. So if something were to happen to their main plan, they at least can kind of estimate how much they're getting in if they end up having to go to what's on course. But yeah, nutrition is just so huge because I do find you can get away with it with shorter races, but when it gets to an Ironman, you can't sneak, you can't hide. You've got to nail it.
Yeah. No, you definitely can't fake it. Yeah, I always go with the super concentrated bottle in there. Just pack as much carbs as I can and do the backup and special needs and a few gels to hold on to. But when you get into, I'm around the same, that 80 to 100 grams per hour, it's a lot to try to even dissolve into water. You end up with this like almost slurry more than it is a liquid at one point. But yeah, it's so
mixed through.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's so key. That's great to hear that you kind of learned that in that first one, and it definitely paid off in the next two races, taking wins for both of them. So that's awesome to see. And that's kind of the fun part about triathlon. There's always so much more to learn or try or go after. Keeps it interesting for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you learn so much every single race. And I think that's kind of what keeps a lot of us hooked, right? You finish and you're like, oh, I could have done better. Or, if you have a great race and everything goes well, you're like, I could replicate that. And then obviously sometimes you can't. So that's great.
No, that's awesome. So when it comes to this year, obviously there was a big announcement with Ironman, with the Ironman Pro Series. Is that something that you're going to be chasing this year?
Yeah, 100%. I've kind of revolved my entire race plan and schedule off of that, really. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it sounds so fun. I love the concept of the point system and every second counts. That's exciting. I think it'll bring like an extra form of entertainment to the sport, going into a race and thinking, okay, this person needs this many points and has to beat this person by this many points by the end of the season. So that'll be cool.
That's awesome. So
second and third place with like the minus the second. So just like finishing first is great, but then you can have second, third, fourth, like absolutely sprinting to the end line, which is going to be really cool.
Yeah. And I think it's great because there's some races where like 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th are all like, I don't know, 2 minutes apart, which in an Ironman is not a lot of time. So that's cool. It like gives you credit for your efforts, and it makes you want to, like you were saying, keep going until the very end, because it's pretty easy to fade at the end of an Ironman.
Yeah, some extra motivation for sure. So, what do you have lined up for your race season? What race are you headed to?
Yeah, so I'm going to kick it off with Ironman Texas coming up here in a few weeks. My 3rd time doing that race, actually, so I'm really looking forward to it. And then my plan as of now, I'm really open about my race schedule. I know some people don't talk about it, but I do, is Ironman Chattanooga in May. Looking forward to that. I've heard some really great things about that race in particular. Yeah. I said 70.3. I meant 70.3. Sorry, in May. And then Mont Tremblant in June, 70.3. I was there last year, but we got smoked out race morning.
Yeah. So, and that like apocalyptic, all the dead bugs and everything. It looks so bizarre.
Were you there?
No, but I had a few athletes I coach racing, so they're sending me like pictures and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's disturbing.
World-ending status. It was wild. I was actually watching one of the videos. They were moths. It was gross. It was really. Anyway, I'm gonna go back.
Okay.
Go worse. The town is awesome, and the course looks great. Like I've done the recon, but yeah. Anyway, hopefully it goes better this time. So that's in June, and then in July I want to return to Lake Placid. 3rd time for that race as well. And then I'll be going to Nice for World Champs because I actually qualified last year at Maryland. So.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
It's a packed schedule. I mean, that's an Ironman series schedule right there. You're balancing the couple 70.3s in there with your 3 Ironmans. And...
I told you everything's about it. You get a max of 5 races that go towards your points, and you can max at 3 Ironmans. So it's like, okay, what can I do to get the most points? And then we'll see kind of back half of the schedule. It's interesting. There's not that many, or there's no more
late season
races. After Nice. There's one like a week later, but I'm obviously not going to do that. So yeah, that'll make the back half of the later end of my season interesting, and whether I decide to do anything. I guess there's always Indian Wells, but that's all the way to December. So we'll see.
Yeah. So how do you feel about having to do 3 Ironmans for this? Because that's obviously a fair number of Ironmans in a year. Kind of the old thinking was you can only perform well at 2 or really 1 peak in there. So how do you feel about doing that many Ironmans? Is that something your body holds up to pretty well? You think it will, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I did 4 last year. So I did 3 the year prior. So I think of myself as an Ironman athlete. And so I think I'll be okay. You never know, right? But as long as they're spaced out, I seem to be fine. I will say my 4th one last year, which was Ironman Florida, my body was pretty tired, and really my mind was pretty tired.
Yeah.
But I think with my final one being World Champs, I'll be like hyped up enough that won't be an issue. So we'll see. And then another fun fact about me actually is I've never done an Ironman branded 70.3.
That's what I was going to ask.
Really?
I was like, I don't think I've seen a 70.3 out there. That's
so the Pro Series is encouraging me to try one out. I've done like a off-branded one. And then obviously I tried to do Mont Tremblant last year, but we'll see how they go.
That's awesome. Well, we have a couple questions that we usually like to ask the pros here. Just kind of quick fire, quick answer, something a little bit fun in there. None of it's too serious. If you don't mind jumping in.
Yeah.
First off, what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten during a race or training? Maybe some random gas station stuff, or you just need any kind of food.
Oh my God, I literally heard you guys just ask Carolyn Carter this one. And she was so funny about it. She was like, "Oh, think of something in a few hours." I feel like I'm not that weird with this because I am like so crazy about making sure my stomach is okay. But It's not weird at all, but I, without a doubt, every long ride, the end of a long ride, have this one gas station in New Hampshire near my parents' house where I train a lot. And I will get, it's not weird, a Snickers bar every time. I look forward to it the whole ride. I'm obsessed with it. So it's not weird, but I'm a big candy bar girl on my rides.
That's the way to go. And apparently that's the way to win Tour de France overall. I was doing some work with Alberto Contador, and he wanted some snacks and stuff. He's like, "Oh, can you get me some Sneakers?" I'm like, "Why would you need Sneakers?" He's like, No, a few Sneakers." And it was Snickers, apparently. It's like his go-to while he's riding.
Wait,
Took a while.
Wow, we have that in common. All right, I'm going to stick with my Snickers. Here we go. And
there we go. Yeah.
Calling him Sneakers because clearly that's working for him. So
way to go for sure.
Being here in New England, I'm right to a Dunkin' Donuts. Get me a Boston cream.
Are you really?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And then you keep riding?
No. At the end, at the end of a swim, at the end of a hard workout. No, I could not do that in the middle of a ride. No way.
I had a chocolate croissant the other day, and I had like a 6-hour ride, and I was only about 3 hours in, but I had a chocolate croissant, and I had an effort like literally 2 minutes after I ate it. That was iffy. That was maybe a bad. Let's just say that was my worst effort for the day.
Fair. There's this really good cinnamon bun and coffee shop like midway on my ride. That is my go-to.
I love
that. Yes.
A little heavy.
On the long aerobic stuff, definitely not with the intensity.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had to race a triathlon as a pair with another pro, who would it be and why? And this could be for performance, they'd be fast, or they'd just be entertaining to spend an Ironman with. Anyone that you'd want to race with.
Okay, well, all right. This is going to show how competitive I am. So you're saying it's not just to win, it's also just maybe just for fun, or what are we trying to get from this?
So it could either be you guys going for the fastest time together compared to other pros paired up, or it could be just someone who could be fun to spend an Ironman time frame with.
Pick door A or door B. Which one do you want?
Seriously. I mean, this is such a good question. I have to say, maybe because I started as an age grouper, I idolize every single pro. I think they're all the coolest people. I look up to them so much. I think they're amazing. I watch all their YouTubes. I listen to all their podcasts. This is hard because of that. I'm trying to think. I almost want to choose a female just because I idolize them the most.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who would I want? She's retired.
Your competitors too.
Retired now from Ironman, but I love Heather Jackson and actually got to go.
She's the coolest.
When I was in Tucson, and I feel like I could talk to her for hours. She's just such a bright light and such a nice human. So I would maybe choose her just because it would be fun. And then I might also choose Kat Matthews just because I really look up to her. And I think that I could probably learn a lot from her throughout the day if she would,
awesome.
Be okay with not going for the time and going for fun.
Well, maybe you'll get that in Texas if she still shows up.
Go.
Apparently, she's still trying to show up even with the calf injury. So
yeah, I saw that post by her. Yeah, I mean, I always looked up to her, and then I think that racing Texas last year and seeing her incredible performance made it even more so. So yeah.
That definitely the right call with Heather Jackson. Had some beers with her after a race and so entertaining. Like you said, she's just a ball of light and energy.
She is, yeah.
Amazing.
And another New Englander.
Ride with her.
Yeah. Okay, so if triathlon had a fourth discipline, what would be the most random or bizarre activity that you would add that would give you the edge over your competition?
Oh my gosh, that would give me the edge. Oh,
yeah.
I was going to say she can't say lacrosse, but
you know what's sad is I don't think I've touched a lacrosse stick since I graduated college, which is crazy. What would it be? Maybe skiing. I'm
there you go.
So I'd add that. My husband always jokes that you should have to do 18 holes of golf because it's like such a different, you're like toast after a triathlon. Your brain is not working. You have like no concentration. So imagine actually like going and having to play 18 holes of golf and actually stay focused. That would be very hard. But yeah, skiing or golf.
Cramping up, trying to get the ball out of the hole.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Someone get the ball out of the hole, please. I can't bend over. Yeah, and I should caveat this, you have to walk. You can't go in the cart.
And we seem to see a reoccurring theme where a lot of triathletes have no hand-eye coordination, so they just go fast in a straight line. So you would definitely have the advantage if you're any good.
I always joke my lateral motion is not as good as like my forward.
For sure. Do you have a guilty pleasure or a pump-up song that you listen to when you need to get through that last hard interval or do an FTP test? It gets you fired up.
I have, this is such a weird one, but I listen to, and I don't know why, Cuff It by Beyonce before every race.
Amazing.
I don't know why. I think the words just really get me fired up. But I don't think I have any specific ones for like when I'm training. I will say I am a very boring person in that when I find a song I like, I will replay it over and over and over. So my liked songs on Spotify get a lot of use, and I should hate them by now because I listen to them during hard intervals, but I seem to keep going back to them. So
gets you locked in. I like it.
Yeah.
Was that what you were listening to during your now viral video for your new nutrition strategy and the FTP test ad that you got going on Instagram?
What is this?
The one that's like, it pops up all over my feed every time I get on, and it's you on your bike going.
There was no music for that, but I will say for that, we were in this warehouse, and you would think that sweat was, I was drip sweating, and I was so embarrassed by it. And they were like, "This is fantastic for recording this. This is awesome." And
It's all intense and hardcore.
They were having me do all out efforts for like, it was only like 10 to 15 seconds and then super chill, but there was no fan or anything. So I was just dripping. I love to see it's popping up on your Instagram. That's awesome.
No, and it gets me fired up.
I think about it and I'm like, oh my gosh, my legs were burning that day. I actually was. So it wasn't just for the camera.
Jenna's done a lot of acting and probably has had some moments where she's had to be in similar situations on bike video recordings.
Oh, yeah.
A few of those. Although my last acting job, I kind of had a moment. It was for a bunch of cheese products. And at one point, I'm eating like mac and cheese and a piece of cheese and a grilled cheese. And there's like 25 people around me filming me and watching me and giving feedback. I'm like, this is the weirdest thing in the world.
Cheese and peace?
Keep eating some cheese. I don't know about this at this point.
Like, did you to say at all, but I love that that's what the acting gig was. Eating cheese.
It was so random. Well, we got one more last question here on our kind of supposed to be quick answers, but they never are because it's so much fun.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Much more fun with the context. What piece of advice were you once given that still resonates with you? What's something that's stuck in your mind?
Oh, I have gotten so much good advice through the years, so I'm trying to think of the best one. Probably the one that I then, this is not rapid fire, sorry. The one that I then say to everyone too is that you need to, or not need to, but ideally find joy and balance in your training, because if you're not enjoying it and you're not showing up, then you can't be consistent, and consistency is truly the most important part about getting better. So enjoy it, find a way to enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying it, take a step back and figure out what you can do to do that. Because I don't know.
Really good advice. Yeah. There's no reason to suffer through all of this if you're just taking every second of it. Most of us aren't doing this as a job, so if you're not enjoying it.
Remember why.
Take a step back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Would you say like finding group training programs to get involved with really helped you in that realm too? Because I know you've done like the master swimming, and for me out in Central Mass, there's not as much of that group aspect. So it's something I miss. I try and get involved with, but it doesn't happen as often. Is that something you would suggest people do is to get into groups and find other people to work out with.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll say we started this talking about how much we love the bike and like being out there by ourselves. I would rather bike alone. I think truthfully, I'd rather run alone, but something about swimming, and I think a lot of triathletes can relate to this, it can get a little tedious. And so swimming with other people has like completely changed my view of swimming. It's not only improved my swim, but it makes it that much more fun. And the days that I swim alone, I'm like, oh, I have to go to the pool. And the days where I'm going to Masters, I'm like, yay, I get to like swim with friends and people I like. So yeah, I suggest it. So if like you're someone who doesn't love running, join a run club. It makes it more fun. If you're someone who doesn't like biking, bike with friends on the weekend. It makes it more fun. So yeah, I totally support that.
That's fantastic. Well, we won't keep you too long in here. We sure appreciate you taking the time, but is there anything else you wanted to let everyone know before we let you go?
I don't think so.
Okay. Where can they follow you on social media? What's the best way?
Yeah, my handle is AliceG_Alberts. Actually, I had to look that up before coming on here because I forget where my underscore is. And yeah, that's the best place to find me. My page is pretty goofy and personal, and I really do try to make it relatable. And I don't know, like I'm very honest on there. I don't really sugarcoat anything. So
well, apparently it's one of the top Instagram follows in all of triathlon.
I know my parents were like, who'd you have to pay for that? And I was like, no, I talking to me too. I was totally taken aback. That was quite a compliment because, I'm just doing this like by myself. Social media and Instagram's all new to me. When I turned pro, I had like 300 followers. So it was kind of like something I really had to commit a lot of time to and something I didn't expect to be such a big part of my pro, I'll call it a journey. And so that was like really nice recognition, honestly. It was sweet. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we'll definitely put up some links to it to make sure that people can find you and see all the fun and silliness and everything that you got going on, and can definitely cheer you on for Texas, which is coming up fast.
Yeah, thank you.
And she's going to try and make an appearance at our Mona Shakeout and Community event before the Boston
Even
Marathon
better.
too. So
yes.
If you're in the New England area, hop on by.
Yeah, I'll be there.
That'll be fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. We sure appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you in Texas, or seeing you race in Texas.
Yeah, thanks.